Gradually, the Soviet regime was crumbling. A severe economic depression had set in. The shelves of the grocery stores were empty, and, as if we were in wartime, food was rationed. To obtain food in exchange for the ration tickets, people would run from one store to another, with a desperate air, their eyes full of sorrow. I'd place my camera at the subway entrance and take photographs. The activity around the station, which was located in a shopping district, overlapped with the sensations I felt when I listened to certain musical compositions. Shostakovich's 13th Symphony in particular, the movement entitled At the Shop. The mass of people flowing around the subway station formed a sort of human tide, giving me a sensation of unrealness, of phantasmagoria. These people were like shadows one would meet in the underworld. I decided to express that feeling in my work, to convey my personal impressions. I had to find a visual metaphor which would enable the viewer to share my feelings as acutely as possible. That is what prompted me to try a long exposure process.
Мне пришла в голову такая мысль, что
My reasoning was this: because the passage of time seemed to be stopped in the realm of shadows, one could surely use a camera to stop the passage of time in the eye of the viewer by leaving the aperture open.
Затвор в открытом состоянии. И это тоже. Это пенсионер на остановке выжидает.
This is a pensioner, standing at the trolley station waiting for the trolley. And perhaps something else, better days. The trolley makes it possible to express the time that has elapsed. It has come to the station and gone on its way again, and the man is still standing there. The relation to time is quite different from the one in the traditional approach to photography. Insofar as in the history of photography, time is one of the essential components of the act of taking a photograph. That is, photography is the intersection where a certain space meets a certain given moment. There is an encounter between space and time occurring inside the frame. In his case, it is true that time does not exist in terms of a specific instant. You would have to describe it as a portrayal of a duration, of something which is always on the move. And in this case, the photograph is actually a segment of the movement. If we look at the current trends in urban documentary photography, the German school, for example, is characterized by frontality, the use of the view camera, of color. Obviously, Alexey's aesthetic choices are a radical departure from all of that. Also, he is in another dimension as far as temporality is concerned. That is, in a certain way, it is impossible to situate him in a particular time. One cannot say there's a picture of St. Petersburg in 1998, or in the post-Soviet era. His photographs are entirely atemporal, outside of time, and thus unexpected. He captivates many people, because I think perhaps of this mysterious aspect of his work. Moreover, his attitude and character both have an air of mystery to them. There is something mysterious about him as a person, something that is not withdrawn exactly, but when you are in his presence, you can sense that he is intensely busy. Occasionally, he makes an incursion towards us. but afterwards he withdraws again. There's something about his behavior that exudes mystery.
Технологический институт. Следующая станция Стенная площадь. Переход на линию 4.
Приезжая на Сенную площадь, я обычно
When I reached Haymarket Square, I'd usually start my stroll through the neighborhood from the point where there is now a commemorative plaque that reads,
надписью, что
"This was the home of Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky."
на этом углу была
I took this photograph on the corner of that street. I photographed the view from that angle several times, but once I decided to move the camera slightly while I was taking the picture, and that gave it an altogether remarkable aura, airy and misty, mysterious.
Петербурга, которая, в общем-то,
The atmosphere of St. Petersburg had always inspired me.
как-то
I'd always wished to express it in my work, and this is the exact spot where I succeeded in capturing it.
на снимке. Во время съемки я сделал
During the take, I shifted the camera slightly, which yielded an impression of light suffused with sun.
солнечного света.
The texture of the light is the most striking characteristic of this particular work. What he is always striving to capture, I would say, is the presence of a type of light which is quite specific to this city. Photographically, it is exploited in a number of different ways, all of which strive to make the light even more articulate and eloquent. He is definitely this city's photographer. And the thing that always interests me in photography is, how should I say it, the bond that forms between an artist and a particular place. In this case, there is no doubt that the artist and his city are extremely complicit.
Complicité, disons, de l'artiste avec sa ville.
There are likely to be interesting subjects here, because the market is nearby and there's so much motion and traffic. Since I never know what the final result will be when I'm shooting a scene, sometimes I go home and after developing the film, study the negatives. Then I return to the same spot and do many more photographic experiments. Sometimes I'll go back to the same place for 4 or 5 times, even more. This would be a good shot if the people stand out against the background of the tank, but the woman in white will blend in rather than stand out, and the clothes she's wearing are atypical.
Сложно сказать.
It's hard to say.
Можно попробовать.
We might try this one, perhaps.